I'd like to kind of get your impression, your where you are in terms of your expectations, and is the administration meeting your expectations that you might have had a year ago,
Yeah.
and where you think, what the headwinds are that they're running into, and, generally, how do you feel about everything?
I'm as frustrated as everybody else but for different reasons.
Hmm.
I just think that everybody's like turned into a retard who doesn't understand how the system works. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and I mean this sincerely, and I think this is part of the psyop. It's part of the zeitgeist. People who should know better know that it takes 6 to 9 months to impanel a grand jury, right? People who should know better know that when you have a 3-seat majority in the House and a fake 3-seat majority in the Senate, and 90% of the Uniparty would impeach Trump tomorrow for being Donald Trump, that he doesn't have a whole lot of room to maneuver. And that, so what do we do when you're in that kind of scenario? When I think for many people, they still think in terms of Democrats versus Republicans. Maybe I'm not even sure. I mean, in my corner of the commentariat, everybody knows it's a uniparty, and they all hate us, and that it's and that we're the carbon they want to reduce, or however you want to put it. So what they have to do is what they've been doing, which is reassert through the court system and through the obvious and potential challenges. This is what they've done all year, um, of getting back and having the favorable Supreme Court makeup redefine properly the Article 2 powers of the President of the United States, which has been bound down by what, for lack of a better term, James Burnham's managerial state, and undo all that, and that just takes time. So you write an executive order, or you start a process that they then tie up in the courts, knowing full well that that judge is going to tie this up. Some traffic court judge from Maryland is going to try and pontificate on foreign policy, and then it has to percolate up to the Supreme Court for the Supreme Court to knock it down, and then we move on to the next thing, and then the next thing, and the next thing. And that's really where they are when you have a Congress that refuses to actually, you know, give Trump his ability to step in his administration. I mean, we don't have any DAs, and everybody wants people like arrested and tried in court. Like, but Pam Bondi can't, get any DAs, appointed to and then hand off the information that they have to prosecute these people, because they can't do anything with it. Because the minute if it goes to, we saw this with Jim Comey and Leticia James last week, right? You hand those off, and those are thin cases. I mean, not thin. I mean, they're guilty of whatever they're charged with, but they're nothing compared to what their actual crimes are. But the whole purpose of that was to do what as always, all the administration really can do, which is out the process of how and explain to everybody why we can't get anything done, because the cases were thrown out because the judge decided to enforce the fact that they weren't the DA wasn't properly appointed, and therefore the case can't go forward. Okay, well, what does that give Trump? It gives Trump the ability to then turn around and go, look, Chuck Grassley's holding up, getting rid of the blue slips, and getting rid of the blue slip policy on the Senate. Like, you have to actually educate people of just how screwed up everything is, and that's really what this year has been about domestically.